I have such a useless brother. He wants to take over father's business, and the only reason he's in this position is because he's the only male, and I'm a female, so my father thinks that I'm not fit for business. Well, I'm going to prove him wrong, and the only way that I can do that is to take a job with a competitor, and this is what I decide to do. My daddy doesn't want me to help him run his pharmaceutical business, even though I'm more than capable of doing so. I just finished my master's degree in pharmaceutical science and was doing full-time work as a manager in a small pharmaceutical store. So what more does he want? Well, apparently my brother Ian, somehow I expected this because it's been like this ever since we were kids. But I thought that we would, have expectations once I proved my worth. Let me start with Dad's undying love for Ian. Ever since those genders-revealing videos on the internet, where dads pray for a boy and get visibly disappointed when they find out that their unborn child is a girl, well, I think that was the reaction of my father when he found out that his firstborn was a girl. Don't get me wrong, he provided all my needs and was there for me, but all of it changed 2 years after I was born, when my mother announced that she was pregnant. Dad was praying to all the gods and saints, hoping that his next child would be a boy. Oh, how I wish they didn't grant his prayers. Dad literally threw a big party when Ian was born. As we grew, so did Dad's patriarchal tendencies. I witnessed how loving my father can be, and the more he showered my brother with unnecessary gadgets and toys, the clearer it became. Dad believed Ian was destined for greatness, and why? Simply because he's a boy. While I struggled to convince Dad for my passion of science, Ian was whisked away to the best of schools and with every resource at his disposal. My ambitions were constantly met with a dismissive wave, as Dad believed my academic pursuits were more distractions until the inevitable day I'd settle into the role of a traditional housewife. Our yearly family outings were always centered around Ian's preference. If he wanted fast food, we all had burgers. If he wanted action movies, we watched explosions and car chases. My preferences, well, they were secondary, or more accurately, non-existent in Dad's eyes. Then there were the infamous father-son bonding moment, fishing trips, sporting events, and discussions about manly things. Where did that leave me? Often excluded. Then, when we were in high school, Uncle Stephen, Dad's younger brother, decides to start a pharmaceutical business and asks Dad to work with him. Now, none of us expected their little business venture to explode into something so massive. Initially, their goal was to just be the top supplier and distributor across the state, but now their pharmaceutical company skyrocketed, supplying medicine to hundreds of pharmacies and hospitals all across the country. But you know how the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. The company's performance was doing very well until Dad decided to sabotage it. I guess Dad got so jealous of Uncle's success that he wanted it for himself. From what I heard, Dad thought Uncle Stephen was taking advantage of him by using him and his skills and only paying him pennies while Uncle earns a lot. Dad wanted to earn as much as what Uncle was earning, so he quit his job at Uncle's company and started his own. He decides that he could do it better on his own. He was struggling at first, but was able to be at par with Uncle's company in a very short time. Now, you would think Dad would have learned a lesson or two about how the harsh world of business worked. But no, he decided the best strategy was to snatch Uncle Stephen's clients. Yeah, he did corporate espionage. Since Dad was basically Uncle's right-hand man, Dad knew of all Uncle's clients, secrets, and literally everything, so he stole them. That's the reason for the sibling rivalry. Up until now, their feud from the business world shifted to family gatherings. Every reunion felt like a battlefield for the two. It's a polite smile and passive-aggressive compliments, but you can feel the tension in the air. The irony? Both companies are thriving, but the brotherly bond? Yeah, that's gone. Anyways, our lives took a turn for the better. Thanks to Dad's success, the only old couches in our living room got swapped out for new and more expensive ones. With bright, luxurious pillows and the whole place smelled fresh and clean, a far cry from how it used to be. We started staying at fancy restaurants that used to be a quarterly occasion, but after Dad's success, we wine and dine out almost every week. Suddenly, we weren't just daydreaming about vacations. Our vacations became very normal, and we were packing our bags and hitting the road whenever we wanted, wherever we wanted. Dad's success also meant securing the best education for us. Dad hired tutors for us to be the best, but there's always a but, right? Ian had a different take on this whole education thing. School was not exactly his thing, and Ian was always busy or sick whenever our tutor arrived. When I asked him why he was not attending our session, he said that he didn't need tutors or even attending schools because he would inherit Dad's company. So why would he bother? I guess not everyone's a fan of hitting the books, even if those books come with a golden ticket to success. Growing up, it became evident that I had more brains and wisdom in my pinky toe than Ian had in his entire skull. I excelled in academics while Ian, well, let's just say he was more interested in outsourcing his studies. Yeah, you heard it right, he paid someone to do his homework and assignments. Shocking, right? I guess that's when he learned from Dad. Anyways, it wasn't all good things. One time on our trip to the lake, our family went fishing. And as a teenager who was curious to try things, I wanted to learn how to catch a fish. So I went to Dad and asked if he could teach me. You know what he said? He chuckled, looked at me in the eye and said that I should just leave the fishing to the men. And why don't I go help Mom in the kitchen? Because girls are good at that. Dad's got more outdated misogynistic views floating around in his head, and I did not end there. I fast forward now to when I was in college. I really want to intern at Dad's company. Seemed like a no-brainer, right? Well, not for Dad. When I mustered up all the courage to ask him, he didn't exactly roll out the welcome mat. Instead, he handed me a list of appropriate internships for a young lady, and I could not fathom why my ambitions had to fit into Dad's preconceived notions of what a suitable girl would do. Wasn't this the guy who reeled in success and was supposed to support our dreams, not stifle them with a stereotypical notion? All I wanted was to prove to him that I could help him. Ever since the success of Dad's business, he began grooming Ian into something who, would be able to inherit the company. It started innocently enough, business talks over dinner, quick lessons on the importance of networking, and subtle nudges towards leadership roles. All for my brother, the golden child, who, let's be real, could not differentiate a test tube from a toothpick. Every suggestion I made about improving the business was met with a dismissive wave of Dad's hand. He didn't need my input. He had Ian to carry on the legacy. It was like my years of education and professional experience were tossed aside because, according to Dad, those things weren't for girls, and that leading should be for men as we girls are too emotional. So right after I graduated college, I took a master's degree in pharmaceutical sciences while working as a manager at a small pharmacy near the university. I figured that if I had this degree and had proven working experience, Dad would let me help in the company. So there I was, juggling thesis statements, customer service, trying to prove my worth to Dad. The small pharmacy became my training ground. I started seeing things differently, not just as a manager, but as someone who might one day contribute to the legacy Dad built. Every interaction with a customer, every decision about product placement was a step toward proving I was not just the boss's kid with a fancy degree. Oh no, I can still remember as I stand at the pharmacy counter scribbling notes for my thesis between filling prescriptions. I can't help but wonder where that path will lead. Will Dad finally open the company doors wide for me? Or am I just running on a treadmill aimlessly? Well, as you've all read at the beginning, it was the latter. His dream of a male successor clouded any rational judgment about who was better equipped for the role. As I watched my brother being groomed for a position I yearned for, resentment started to bubble up within me. Will Dad ever acknowledge my capabilities? Or will I forever be relegated to the sidelines while Ian marches towards a destiny crafted solely on his gender? You know what's frustrating? I wanted that legacy. I craved the chance to take the reins of the family business, to prove that competence knows no gender, but what can I do? I have no control what Dad's thinking, and after I finished my master's degree, I quit my managerial job, thinking that I could finally work alongside Dad. Little did I know he still had that mindset that a woman could possibly run his precious company, and a woman was not capable of working for him. The moment I walked into his office with dreams of working with him, I was met with scoffs and laughter. He dismissed me like I was a kid trying to play grown-up. That was the last straw. Despite my education, experience, and my burning passion, he treated me like nothing, all while grooming my brother Ian for the position that I've been eyeing forever. Ian hasn't even graduated. Our heated argument echoed through the office halls. I shouted at Dad, demanding to know why my gender should dictate my role in the company. Do you guys know what he said? He said that it's been like that for ages and it'll be like that forever, so I should just quit the nagging. Things got ugly, and in the heat of the moment, I let loose a few choice words about my brother, calling him out for the incompetence he truly was. And while I may have called Ian some less than polite names like stupid, when Dad heard what I said, he was outright raged and told me that my actions at the time were the exact reason why women like me were not fit to lead his company. He was so unfair. Growing up, all I wished was for approval. All the things I did were so that he could finally see that I was worthy of his attention. And what did I get? He kicked me out and told me that he didn't want to just see my face ever again. He said to me that I should fend for myself if I think I'm so capable. I worked hard, put in extra hours, and poured my heart and soul into proving that I was worthy of his attention. Yet at the moment, it all came crashing down. The man I sought validation from had not only dismissed me, but cast me aside as if I were disposable. My whole body froze when I heard those words come out of his mouth. Really? Is he willing to go that far? I couldn't believe it. I scoffed and told him that I would be their rival and would compete with Ian one day. Despite saying that, I left the room, teary eyes running down my face, and just like that, I found myself right outside of the company building, a place that I'd always considered my birthright. You know what? I'm not one to wallow in defeat. Right now, I'm still thinking of ways I could prove to Dad that he should have not belittled me. Anyways, what do you guys think? Am I the a-hole for lashing out at my father? Calling my younger brother names and wanting a fair chance in my family's business? Update number 1. Hey, first of all, a big shout out to all the amazing souls who sent me good vibes, well wishes, and practical advice my way. Your support means the world to me, truly. Just an update on my life. I found this cute apartment, and I'm now safely staying in it. It's a cozy nook. Not too big, not too small, just the right space for me. The walls might not be screaming with luxury, but they've got character, a bit like my life right now. Thankfully, I had enough savings to fund this, quote, moving out of the parent home, and I was able to rent the apartment and fund my groceries and everything. Living on savings has this funny way of making you reconsider your Starbucks habit. Suddenly, brewing your own coffee feels like a revolutionary act. Oh wait, I forgot I don't have a coffee machine. But hey, it's all a part of adventure, right? Anyways, I just want to address those comments who were accusing me of wanting to take the company for myself. Well, congrats for not having daddy issues. Seriously, if that was my plan, I'd probably be sipping cocktails on a private island by now. I swear I genuinely just wanted to be acknowledged by my father. All my life, ever since Ian was born, I was just living in his shadows. I worked all my life to experience the day my father finally accepted that I was also capable of running or leading his business. Actually, I was not expecting him to make me the heir just because I had a master's degree or had experience managing a team. Any valuable position would be fine. I guess for him, my worth to his company is nothing. Okay, back to what happened after Dad kicked me out. So, when I got home and finished packing my things, I assessed my situation. No job, no support, and a bruised ego. But you know what? I decided that was my chance to rise from the ashes, and I was not going to let one man's opinion define my worth. The next few days were a blur of job applications, interviews, and countless cups of coffee. I was determined to land on my feet and prove to myself that I was more than Daddy's rejection. Surprisingly, resilience became my greatest ally. Guess what? I did it. I secured a new job. Not just any job, but one that made me feel valued and appreciated. It was a stark contrast to the toxic environment I endured under Dad's rule. New colleagues admired my skills and appreciate my contributions, something Dad failed to recognize. But this is nothing to Dad, and it'll not help me prove my worth to him. Then I remember someone who could help, Uncle Stefan. Last weekend, I went to visit him and asked if he could help me have revenge against my father, but he straight up refused because he was angry at Dad and thought that this was one of Dad's other tactics to sabotage his business. He explained how he'd been burnt before by trusting Dad's motives, and he wasn't about to let history repeat itself. So now I don't know what to cause of this because I just feel like Uncle Stefan will be a big help. What do you guys do? I mean, come on, do I continue to plead to Uncle? Or do you guys have other ideas in your mind that could possibly help me? Update number 2. 7 months later! I apologize for the 7-month update. So, remember how I clung to the hope of getting into Uncle Stefan's company? Like what you guys suggested, I did not give up and begged Uncle Stefan to give me a chance to work with him. Well, your girl made it happen. Persistence pays off, people. But I think he was still a little skeptical about me, so he gave me one of the low-ranked positions in his company. I know, I could have landed a way better job elsewhere given that I have a master's degree and lots of work experience, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Also, there's nothing that could help Dad's attention except his rival, Uncle Stefan. So I've been working for Uncle Stefan for months now with very little pay, but I have no chance but to stay so I can get that revenge I ever desire. As weeks turned to months, I did not just survive, I thrived. I discovered strengths within me that I never knew existed. Anyways, yesterday everything changed. It was a regular Tuesday in the office, people typing away, the hum of printers, tacos on a Tuesday in the break room. Oh, and then Uncle Stefan, that's right, called me into his office and told me to have dinner with him in his house. Now, my first thought is this a trap? Did I accidentally send a meme to the entire office again? But hey, free food is free food, right? Fast forward to the evening, and I find myself ringing the doorbell of Uncle Stefan's house. When I got into the dining room, the smell of steak filled my nose, carne asada, but I was not able to savor the moment because my fear overwhelmed the situation. As we began eating, he also started to talk. Apparently, he was just testing me and observing if I would end up like Dad and sabotage his company. He said that he wanted me to climb the ranks on my own, as he did not want to be biased. And now that I'm familiar with his company's process and pipeline according to him, he'll only promote me to manager on one condition. Don't get confused, I still need to climb the rankings until the position below the manager, and I'll be stuck there if I don't do this one condition, so what was the condition, you're wondering? Well, Uncle Stefan wanted to teach Dad a lesson, so he asked me to get his clients that Dad stole. If I can do that one little thing, I can get new big clients for him. Now, once again, I don't know what to do. If I do what Uncle Stefan wants, I'll get my revenge for sure. And finally, Dad'll see how capable I am. However, when I do that, Dad's business will be sincerely negative affected. I don't really have anyone I can comfortably ask about this, so I was hoping if you guys could help. What do you guys think I should do? Update number 3. Hey, another update here. Most of you commented that I should do what Uncle Stefan wants me to do. After some serious contemplation, I've decided to push through with it. I figured that Dad did Uncle Stefan wrong by stealing his clients, and Dad deserves to be punished for it. Uncle Stefan deserves some kind of justice, right? For those of you who haven't read my original post, Dad was initially working for Uncle Stefan until he decided to start his own pharmaceutical company, and stole Uncle's clients. Anyways, if he's really capable, he can come back from any challenges that he'll face. So I've brainstormed strategies on how to steal Dad's clients, and trust me, it's a lot more complicated than it seems. Well, I did the exact same thing Dad did. Corporate espionage. I figured that if I wanted good revenge, nothing would surpass being attacked by your own actions, right? We're talking about infiltrating Dad's clients and winning them over with charm, wit, and maybe a killer PowerPoint presentation. So this is what they call the taste of your own medicine. So here's what happened. I called Dad and asked him if I could visit him in his office because I had some great news and he agreed. Little did he know that this was how I would compete with him. When I got into his office, I was not welcomed with open arms. After greeting me, he asked me what my big news was right away and then got back to whatever he was doing. When I told him I was working for my Uncle Stefan, I was confident that I had his trust. Dad put away his hands on his keyboard and looked at me with a big smile. I then said that I always knew that Dad and Uncle had a feud, so I wanted to join Uncle's company to prove to Dad that I could be of some use to him, as I could help him get more of Uncle's clients. Dad caught the bait, hook, line, and sinker. And guess what? He told me I did a great job, and now that I have Uncle Stefan's trust, I can sabotage his company. So I asked him what I could do, and then he proceeded to give ideas. After talking, I asked Dad if I could stay in his office because I really miss staying there, which he happily agreed to. That's where my plan began. After Dad left the office to go back to their house, I started working. I logged into his computer first, but it has a password. Guess what Dad's password was? If you guessed Ian's birth date, you nailed it. I looked for his list of clients, and luckily I found it, so I call that a jackpot. Now, this is where the real fun begins. You won't believe what I found next. Not only the clients list, but I also found Dad's price quotes for the clients who were in another country. And I was shocked when I found out that most of them were so overpriced. I mean, I knew Dad liked the cha-ching, cha-ching, but this was too much. Guess I know how to steal those clients now. After sending the files to my email, of course I deleted the evidence. I went straight to my apartment and started drafting the emails I would send to Dad's clients. I included the quotation and offered them a much cheaper cost than Dad was charging, a tempting offer they could not resist. As my fingers danced across the keyboard, I could not help but imagine what would happen after I sent those emails. Will he suspect his little incapable daughter? Will his clients take the bait? The suspense was killing me. Absolutely, but the adrenaline rush was electrifying. Anyways, hopefully they will accept my offer. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. I hope to bring you good news in my next update. Update number 4. Okay, guys, I know what I did, and I'm prepared for whatever consequences I'll face. I'm sure Dad will not file a case against me because it'll just open up his felonies, aka the corporate espionage that he did in Uncle Stefan's company. Most of you are saying that this is overboard, but you guys don't know me and what I've been experiencing. Like what I've been saying in my past post, this is the only way Dad can see what I'm capable of, and on top of that, I will get my revenge, so let me be. Moving on, after just a day, I have received replies from Dad's clients, and I did not expect them. OMG, most of them accepted my offer. Yes, you heard it right. In fact, some even took the time to personally call me, expressing their gratitude for saving them from signing a contract with Dad. Not only that, even those clients who were considering Dad's company, they contacted me saying that his colleague, who is big and old client of Dad's, was telling them that Dad's company was a no-go because Dad's overpricing. Then that big client is one of the people who shifted to Uncle Stefan's. Hopefully these clients sign contracts with us ASAP. And as Uncle Stefan and I agreed, I just got promoted to a managerial role. Uncle Stefan was so thankful because he finally got revenge. Or rather, justice he deserved. And what of my dad's company? Well, I don't even know. Everything happened so fast, and I think this was the biggest hit ever. The big client I mentioned, I think Dad lost his reputation in the industry because of her. And now Dad's been calling me nonstop, but I don't want to answer it. Yet, at least. And well, I just got promoted. I don't want bad vibes. Anyways, guys, until the next update. Final update. This update is long overdue, and sorry for that. A lot of you were asking about what happened to my younger brother Ian. I'll tell you right after I tell you guys the story of what happened to Dad. Dad lost most of his clients, especially the big ones. His company's still alive, but it's barely living. He only supplies his own pharmaceutical stores and some small ones. Remember when I told you guys that he was calling me nonstop? Well, I answered his call the next day and he was furious. Dad asked me if I could work for his company now because he needed help and he could not find anyone he thought was capable. Then I just asked him, well, what about Ian? He then starts ranting about how Ian was enjoying the sand of Hawaii while he was busy dealing with his crumbling company. Dad tried to call Ian back, but realized that this entire fiasco was in part thanks to his son's incompetence. Turns out, well, my dear little brother was interning in Daddy's company, who managed to quote an overpriced deal to the clients to cover up the losses of Dad's company that it was in. That's what you get for expecting so much from your incompetent son. Anyways, well, Ian refused to go back, saying he just graduated and he deserves a break. Clearly, this guy has no shame and no care for the company. So, I told him I would do what I could do and would inform him ASAP, and as I hung up, I could not shake the unease settling in my stomach. I felt a pang of guilt. I mean, who would not? All of these are happening because I wanted to get revenge. As I sat there absorbing the weight of my decision, a rush of regret coursed through me. What had I done? The initial thrill of revenge was now replaced by the cold reality of the consequences. I jeopardized not only my relationship with Dad, but also the entire family, as the business was our family's main source of income. And then the next day, Dad called me again, cursing, shouting me. Apparently, he didn't know that his lost clients transferred to Uncle Stefan's company. He said that he was sure that I stole their clients because what other reason do I have for visiting him? Then he told me that he was not wrong to kick me out because I was a useless child who had absolutely no benefit to him. And at the moment, all my guilt and regrets vanished. Dad deserved what I've done to him. As I hung up the phone, a weight lifted off my shoulders. I realized that I wasn't the villain in the story. If Dad had just given me the same attention he was giving Ian, all of this may not have happened. Dad had his chance to appreciate what he's done. And what he had, but he chose to discard it like it was trash. Now he could reap the consequences that he sows, and maybe he can run to his very capable son and just make him help to rebuild the company. Well, best of luck, Dad. Anyways, I think my last post here is this. This whole fiasco allowed me to discover the strengths within me that I never knew existed. And you guys know what? I'm doing just fine without my dad's acknowledgement and attention. What's next for me, you may ask? Who knows? I might also steal all the clients when I start my own company. And when I do, I'll make sure I let you guys know. See ya. So this leads all back to OP's brother being incompetent and taking the role that he never should have been responsible for, because if he was not the person who overpriced everybody, then this entire fiasco would not have been able to take place, and OP wouldn't have been able to get such easy revenge. But I think it opened the eyes of her father and says, you know what, maybe I did make a mistake. But as we saw at the end of the story, it looks like OP doesn't really care about either her uncle or her dad, and she's starting her own business soon enough, and she might just steal all the clients, she thinks. If there's any updates for this story, you guys will be the first to hear about it, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You can do so by clicking the subscribe button directly under this video. My name's Mr. Reddito. Thank you so much for joining me on today's animated story, and I hope you did enjoy it. Have a great day, I'll see you tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.